All right, guys, what is going on? This is episode 755 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller. Over here, we talk about Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons football. And I'm going to tell you guys, I like this coaching staff. I like this coaching staff that just been put together by Raheem Morris. I think he's done a great job. If I have to give him a letter grade, well, I'll tell you the letter grade in the middle of the show. I'll tell you what I think about the staff itself, and I'll give you a letter grade. But I think they did a really good job. We're going to talk about the staff because it's about 65% complete. So you kind of know what you got here because most of the important pieces have been hired. So I'm going to give you my thoughts and opinions on that, and we'll just go from there. So if this is your first time here, welcome. I could be found on YouTube and Rumble, also on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. If you want to watch the show is actually on Spotify. If you want to watch the show, also on Rumble. So take your pick. Rumble or Spotify. Either way, it is awesome. If you want to listen to the show, YouTube and Apple Podcasts is the way if you just want to listen. But you can listen either way. It doesn't matter. I just appreciate the support. Everybody who's been subscribing to the YouTube channel, I really appreciate it. Everybody who's been joining me on Rumble, I appreciate that as well. Give me a 5-star rating on the Apple Podcast. I really would appreciate that as well. And I could be found if you want to follow me on X at VF Baller. That's the Twitter handle or the X handle, VF Baller. I do have a website, which is firstandframerates.com. And if you want to show support to the show, CashApp and PayPal links are below. Let's just go ahead and get into this. Let's go ahead and knock it out and just go from there. So, Raheem Morris is the head coach, and he decided to make Jerry Gray as his assistant head coach, which that's something that we haven't talked about much. I don't think too many people talked about much. They talked about him being the defensive backs coach, or he was going to be the guy that's retaining the same position that he had last year, which I think it was assistant head coach still, but most people would think about him as a defensive back coach, but he's actually assistant head coach, and that's a lot of knowledge that Raheem Morris is going to be right next to, because Raheem Morris has a lot of knowledge as well. He's been around for 20 years. Jerry Gray I think he's been around longer, but he knows what he's doing, not just, with the cornerbacks. He's been a defensive coordinator. He's been, he's been all that stuff. So, assistant head coach, defensive back, he's been all of those things. So that's really cool to have him right there. We already talked about the offensive coordinator, the run game coordinator, Dwayne Ledford, TJ Yates, quarterback coach. So Zach Robinson, the offensive coordinator, has two guys right next to him that's going to be, they're going to be all coinciding and run this offense. And they know that they have a lot of weapons. So this is going to be like a really good time for these guys to get together, gel together. You got two quarterbacks together. That is really good. Well, I can say really. Well, I say they're pretty good at coaching, because I say there's one thing about TJ Yates. TJ Yates, I remember him playing in North Carolina. He played for the Texans, and with him being the pass game coordinator, quarterback coach, it's going to help out big time for anybody who's going to be, under center. And then with Zach Robinson under that tree from the Shanahan tree, it's just so many options you can do with this team. It's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. Dwayne Ledford is the run game coordinator and offensive line coach. Him and Michael Petrie, the running backs coach, they're going to be tandem hand in hand on how to get these running backs together and how they're going to get, Tyler Algier, and you get, I keep thinking I'm going to say what's his name, 84, Cordell Patterson, but I don't know if he's going to be back. But, it'll be nice to have him back. It'd be really cool. But, Bijan Robinson is another one, is definitely going to see what they can do with him. And I think they're going to use him a lot more in the passing game as well, because he did pretty good on both ends. I mean, he's all-purpose back. So that's going to be really, really awesome to see how pretty much the offensive coordinator, how they want to use, Bijan Robinson in that aspect. Now, when you look at the wide receivers coach, got Ike Hilliard, former co-offensive coordinator and wide receivers coach. That is really cool, because you got a guy with a lot of experience at that position. You got Drake London, Scotty Miller. You're probably going to draft another receiver as well. And you got a lot of guys that could play receiver for the Falcons that can learn a lot. And, that's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out as well. Tight end coach, Jonnu Smith, is he coming back? Kyle Pitts is going to be back. Kevin Koger, I heard this name before. And I remember he played at Michigan. I remember him. I heard that name before because he played. I don't know much about him at Michigan, but I knew he played at Michigan. So that's a really big deal. A guy who's played the position, and he's coached wide receivers and tight ends both at the collegiate level as well. Did a little bit of special teams. Offensive assistant Nick Jones. He played at center, tight end, offensive tackle, special teams, offensive assistant. Watch him. He's going to be pretty much working hand in hand with the offensive line coach Dwayne Ledford. You can see he's going to be him and Michael Petrie. I can see them working together pretty well to try to get more out of this offensive line and the running game. Now, offensive assistant KJ Black, another quarterback that was a passing game coordinator, and he was a co-offensive coordinator, and he was a quarterback. Now, this right here tells me that more than likely, one or two things are going to happen. They're going to go after a quarterback that's going to understand what they're doing here, whether it be a rookie or a longtime veteran. I'm leaning towards the rookie thing, but don't be surprised. Desmond Ridder is still going to be on this. He's still going to be on this roster, and I'm pretty sure they're going to try to work with him because one season and 4 games don't necessarily define the quarterback. I think they should move on from him and go ahead and get the next best thing. But I've been saying this for a while now. Don't be surprised if they try to fix Desmond Ridder. And I'm not for it. I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm not. I think his days are done. I think his days are numbered. But you could make a case that he was in a bad situation. Maybe with this offense, especially with a Shanahan style offense, or maybe that or Sean McVay style offense, Zach Robinson style offense. Maybe they could do some things to get something out of him. That's probably like a 5 to 10% chance that happens. But I'm just telling you, KJ Black, Zach Robinson, TJ Yates, they're all going to work hand in hand in that. Now you don't have much else out of that on the defensive side. After that, you pretty much got your offense together. But defensively, we talked about these guys before. We talked about Jimmy Lake. We talked about Jay Rogers and the senior defensive assistant Dave Huxtable. We talked about those guys the other day. Not much you got out of those. If you heard the last episode, like I said, the other 35-40% of this offense of this staff is coming through the defense at this point. You need an edge rusher coach. You need a cornerbacks coach because, like Jerry Gray, is he going to be the cornerback coach as well? I'm curious. Are they going to fill that slot? Because the cornerbacks and safeties, Jerry Gray was over that, and you see how well that worked out. The defensive line, not defensive line, but the secondary was not as bad as most people try to make it out to be. I think that, to be honest with you, I think the team just, when it was like 3 or 4 games left in the season, the team was just like, forget it. People don't want to admit it. Maybe not individuals said that, but collectively the team was like, all right, we need to mail this in. We don't have any faith in our quarterback. We're good. So I felt like that was the case, but overall, the defensive line, we doubled our sack total. We didn't get as many interceptions that we like. I know Jesse Bates was the guy, but I would like to see a couple more interceptions from some other guys. I know some linebackers got some interceptions, but I think, filling out that edge rusher, linebacker, cornerbacks, and safety coach, you get those 4 out of the way, you kind of shape up your defense as well. And, basically with your cornerbacks and safety coach, you're going to have a defensive passing game coordinator kind of be coincide with those guys, just like you have the offensive coordinator and you have TJ Yates and Ike Hilliard, KJ Black. All those guys are going to work together. So that's basically what you have right now. And not to forget Marquise Williams, he's coming back from being the special teams coach from last season. So that's going to be pretty cool because the special teams was actually pretty decent last season. So overall, the team was okay. And the team is in good hands. I like what the coaching staff, the way it's building up. It looks like we're going to have a pretty good staff here. And hopefully we can get, some wins out of it. Because I like I said, I like the way the defense is set up. Raheem Morris is a defensive guy. Jimmy Lake is a defensive guy. Jerry Gray is a defensive guy. You bring some more guys in here that can make things happen. And then you cooking with grease. But right now, They look like they got, they got the fire started. They got the fire on the, excuse me, they got the fire on the stove already going. They just ain't got the grease yet. But once they get everything else together, then you be cooking with grease, and I think we're gonna be all right. You gotta understand, this team was maybe one. I ain't gonna say just one player away. You can make the case that this team was like a couple plays away from making the playoffs. A few plays away. You don't turn the ball over in certain cases, you could have ran away with this division. So getting the right coaches in here so the players can be the best that they can be is all you can ask for. And it looked like that's going to be the case because, like I said, I really like what I see here. And I can't wait to see what their philosophy is going to be like, because I think like on Monday they're going to have the press conferences and stuff. You can really get to understand who's here and what they're about. And then you start seeing the moves that they make, whether it be in free agency or the draft. So that's going to be really interesting to see. But until then, we're going to just continue to talk about them. And hopefully I get some Georgia Southern news. Not much Georgia Southern stuff going on right now, but we'll see. Nevertheless, if you like this commentary, hit the like button, share this podcast, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let me know what you guys think. The Atlanta Falcons coaching staff is setting up nicely. I like what I see here. I don't see any negatives. Everybody it look like they're getting their first chance to do something. They have a lot of experience, and they're finally getting their chance to, be something, of a different stature in the coaching ranks. So that's pretty cool, So really interested to see how that plays out. I can be found on YouTube and Rumble, also Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts. Check me out on the X or Twitter at VFBaller. The website's firstandframerates.com. And if you want to donate or support the show, CashApp and PayPal links are below. If you guys enjoy your Friday, and I'm going to enjoy mine, going to make the most of it, and I'll see you guys on the next episode. Probably do a video or two throughout the weekend. All right, y'all, I'm out of here. Y'all take it easy, and y'all be blessed. Peace.